I'm a big proponent of girls' education. I believe that it's a very important and a very valuable human rights obligation that all countries should be meeting. I am, however, concerned that in the past 7 to 8 years, we have found ourselves in a situation where there's kind of a enchantment with girls' education, as though it were the new microenterprise, a magic bullet to solve everything from poverty to malnourishment to inequality. And in fact, I think where we are tripping up is to recognize that in the outcomes that we have ascribed to girls' education, which are reduced vulnerability to sexually transmitted diseases, higher likelihood that the children of educated girls will themselves be educated and will actually be better nourished, and many others, including their greater overall empowerment and participation in society. All of these certainly are not anything that I would argue with. What I am concerned about is that that has happened simultaneously with a significant drop in both funding and support for strategies that give girls and women access to reproductive health and choices, particularly family planning. And when those two things happen in tandem, the lag between an educated girl then being able to be in a place where she also has access to sex education and access to contraception in a society that may or may not have prioritized that, or in a government that may or may not have prioritized that, is a question that remains unaddressed. I also think that it is important for us to recognize that there are societies where girls have achieved significantly high levels, girls and women have achieved significantly high levels of education in which gender inequality remains. So those would be, for example, places like Japan and Saudi Arabia, where you have high per capita income, high levels of education, and yet cultures that have not caught up with either of those, and where women and girls are still marginalized and sort of on the edges in terms of decision making. So I think as we support programs for girls' education, we also need to demand that those programs be buttressed by strong programs in adolescent health, strong programs in sex education, strong programs that actually provide girls and women with access to family planning and contraception. And examples of countries that have actually done that while still struggling with relatively low levels of literacy include places like Bangladesh and India, where women's fertility rates have come down significantly, while they're still doing some catching up with regard to women's education rates. So I don't think we have to wait for one to be able to do the other.